I'd like to talk to you a little bit today about predation. Predators are always seem to be a big concern, but actually, in my opinion, predators are good for the situation. Um, Everybody blames a coyote for killing birds, but coyotes in fact kill all the nest raiders. The skunks and the possums and the raccoons, black snakes, house cats. So they're a big boon, especially to your quail population. Um, if you shoot a red-tailed hawk, then your snake population thrives. So, I'm a religious fanatic, so I figure there's a plan and a design, but even if you come at it from an evolutionary point of view, you realize that this has worked really good for a long time. And if you think you're going to improve it much by changing it radically, you're probably wrong. So a lot of times it's just better off if you leave things alone and let nature take its course. On the other hand, if you have like pigeons or whatever, and you have a hawk that sets up on your pigeon coop, he'll kill a bird or two every day. And this gets to be very problematic. I just bought 20 pigeons probably 3 weeks ago, and I'm down to 6 because I've got a hawk that just sits there and hammers them when they come home. So I built this falcon trap, and you have to be careful, some conservation. It's a federal law, not to kill hawks. But your local game wardens enforce that. And generally speaking, if you have a hawk problem like that and you trap a hawk and take them somewhere and release them, nobody says anything, but you have to be aware that it's probably not technically legal. It's just a good idea. So I'm going to show you what a falcon trap looks like and how they work, and then you can go from there. The way this is designed is it has a little coop in the bottom, and you put a couple pigeons in this area here. Now, we don't leave pigeons in there all day. It's in the hot sun or whatever. So we'll go out early in the morning, put a couple pigeons in there with food and water, and leave them in there for a couple hours while we're working dogs or whatever. And then we release the pigeons and let them go back to their house. And then we'll do that again in the evening, because it's just not right to leave a bird in the heat like that. And we try to put this in a shaded area. It works a little better if you have white pigeons, but any pigeons will work, or hamsters, or a small domestic rabbit, or anything that you can put in there that would be food for a hawk. The way this works, and this is not my original design, although I didn't have any plans for it, so I just made it out of scrap lumber, however I thought it ought to be built. This spring mechanism is my own invention, but you could put 2 springs here like this, or you can do this, or you could put a weight on here. So there's lots of ways to make this work. And the way this trap works, basically, you open it up like this, and you lift this up. And what happens is, your hawk comes, he wants to check these birds out. So he comes and he lands in the middle there. He'll land up here, and then he'll jump down, and that just collapses and traps him in. That's how it works. Now, most animals, if they landed on something like that that would give a little bit, it would freak them out, and they would just fly away, escape before it closed on them. But you have to understand, with birds, they're used to landing on a limb that gives under their weight quite often. So it doesn't alarm them like it would, some animals. So as a consequence, they land on there, they get trapped in here, and then you can just transport them somewhere and release them. We build our bird pens snake-proof, as snake-proof as possible. If you notice in our previous video about a pigeon loft, we put a wire top first before we put the roof on, so that when snakes come up under that corrugated roofing, they can't get down into the birds. So predation is not a problem in the field with your quail. Everybody wants to trap everything and kill everything, and that's the wrong move. That's just simply the wrong move. But because, you know, Teddy Roosevelt learned that in the Kaibab when they killed all the lions. And then, you know, the deer population just skyrocketed. And then we got disease in the deer, and it took years and years and years for those deer to come back. And that's what happens usually when you mess with it too much. So leave your predators alone out in your, you know, your quail habitat. Provide good food and good cover, and let Mother Nature take its own. But around your pigeon coops and your quail pens and stuff, you have to be aware that predation is an issue there, because they're trapped in. They can't act naturally. When we do our recall boxes, we put up a used dog pen around the box to keep the coyotes and the deer dogs and stuff away. You know, that's just common sense. But in general, with predation, we kind of leave it alone and let the good Lord work it out in any way He wants to. These are fairly simple to build. We're not going to include actual plans, but if you look at it, this is 30 by 30, and I've got plenty of height here. You know, you want to have 10, 11 inches minimum for your pigeons, and then I put more height in here because if we do get bigger hawks, you know, they need some depth. So, you know, this total thing here runs about 14 inches, I guess. And of course, when that collapses, then, you know, it's even taller. So that's the way this works. If you have any questions, obviously, you can email us or whatever. And you know, this fancy little door, we're going to fix it so we can latch it up if we want to work on it or whatever. And then, you know, that's for your pigeon access. I hope that confuses you a little more than normal. I have a tendency to do that.